Okay, so if we could just make sure that our backs are nice and straight, and just take a couple of deep breaths. And with the in-breath, just breathe in peace and relaxation. And with the out-breath, just let go of any tension, any stress in the body. And just with the in-breath, just calm the mind. Nothing that you need to think about, nothing that you need to do. Just allow yourself to be present in your room, in the here and in the now, the only moment that there is. And just feel that relaxation just flowing through the body, the peace, the harmony within the mind. Okay, so if we could do the head and neck and the breathing exercises, just drop the head forward and back upright again 3 times. Drop the head back and upright again 3 times. Drop the head down to the right shoulder and upright again 3 times. And drop the head down towards the right shoulder and upright again 3 times. And now just drop the head forward and rotate in a complete 360-degree circle to the right, and 3 rotations. Don't overdo it, just nice and gentle. Don't try and strain too much in doing that. And then drop the head forward again, and we'll do 3 360-degree rotations to the left. Now the breathing exercises. Breathe in through the right nostril and out through the mouth 3 times. And then in through the left nostril and out through the right nostril 3 times. And now we'll just offer the first prayer of protection, which is the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And I'll just say an affirmation, which is the affirmation from Know Thyself. Father, as we seek to see and know thy face, may we each, as individuals and as a group, come to know ourselves, even as we are known, that we, as lights in thee, may give the better concept of thy spirit in this world. Now the second prayer of protection. As we open our hearts to the unseen forces that surround the throne of grace, beauty, and might, we throw about ourselves the protection found in the thought of the Christ. And if we could just go into the silence for approximately 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, could you bring your awareness back to your room? Father, Mother God, we would like to send out any healing energies that have been raised during our meditation to anyone who is in need of healing, to anyone that is in need of support, protection, and especially to those who have no one else who can pray for them. Please help all those people that can be assisted through the energies we have raised this evening. Thank you, Father. And we'll conclude the meditation with the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
So this is the from the book Creative Meditation. It's the introduction, and it's a condensed version. So it's not the complete book. It's a shortened version, thankfully. So are you ready to accept greater calm in your life, more inner peace and a feeling of being at one with the world and with the universe? If that's what you want, then creative meditation is for you. You can be as immersed as you want to be in the outer world and still keep in touch with the source of creative energy and at the inner center of your being. So we're going to go through the stages through which the practice of meditation has moved in the Western civilization. So that's not including India. I think they're most of the masters of meditation, and Western civilization more the Christian side as well. So number one is from antiquity through the 1940s. Off and on throughout the history of Western civilization, meditation was a serious spiritual practice for members of certain religious groups. We tend to assume that across the centuries, meditation has been practiced in the West, predominantly by mystics, monks, and members of the clergy. Less well known is the fact that meditation was an accepted spiritual practice among many Jews and early Christians until their respective religious establishments discouraged or prohibited the practice. Even after meditative practice was branded heretical for the Christian layperson, who do you think you are that you can commune directly with God? Individuals periodically arrived on the scene not only to rediscover the value of the practice for themselves, but also to share it with others. For example, two significant spiritual movements in the 17th century included meditative practices. The followers of German Kabbalah mystic Jacob Bowey formed Bohemianite societies throughout Germany and Holland early in the 17th century. Later in the century, the Englishman George Fox founded the Society of Friends, or the Quakers. He extended the society not only through England, but into Holland and America as well. He personally traveled from New England down to the Carolinas to spread his message and confirm his followers in their faith. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, some form of meditative practice was fundamental to the ideas and writings of several individuals who became known for their spiritual philosophies. For example, Edgar Cayce and Rudolf Steiner both referred frequently to meditation. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore encouraged meditative God talk for guidance and healing. George Gurdjieff and P.D. Ouspensky taught the value of a meditative practice called self-remembering. Groups that formed around these philosophies incorporated meditation into their personal disciplines. So then we come to the 1950s and 1960s. So during this restless era of civil rights activism and questionable involvement in foreign conflicts, meditation found itself among companions of mixed reputation, such as psychedelic drugs, hippies, and new sexual freedom. Consciousness raising became a familiar, if equivocal, catchphrase of the time. A few people recognized that meditation was indeed a way to raise consciousness, but most leaders of popular causes had other agendas in mind. An influx of yoga as exercise from the East brought with it yoga as meditation. The work of the American mystic Joel Goldsmith attracted groups of dedicated seekers to the infinite way, a spiritual philosophy in which meditation was an essential discipline. For the first time in modern Western history, meditation began to make a crossover from a largely exclusive religious or esoteric environment to segments of the general population. So in the 1970s and 1980s, this period saw the blossoming of many new age and spiritual philosophies and of groups associated with them. For example, A Course in Miracles appeared and attracted a large and devoted following, and many people became interested in the spiritual approaches of several Native American teachers and healers. The movement, stimulated by the work of Cayce, Steiner, and the Fillmores, flourished under their respective organizations: the Association for Research and Enlightenment, the Anthroposophical Society, and the Unity School of Christianity. New Age movements got extra boost through their association with charismatic individuals such as psychiatrist Gerald Jampolsky, Native American medicine man Rolling Thunder, and actress Shirley MacLaine. This period also experienced the widespread dissemination of Transcendental Meditation, TM, an Eastern import modified for the West in a non-sectarian, non-religious form. A 1978 Gallup poll reported that about 2% of all Americans were using transcendental meditation, a small percentage that nevertheless represented a large number of people. One of the most remarkable trends in the 1970s is the continuing interest in the inner or spiritual life. Meditation was becoming an integral part of many lives, another significant step in the crossover. Meanwhile, the medical and psychological professions were working experimentally with meditation. They began to recognize and recommend its physiological and psychological benefits to patients and clients. The book, The Relaxation Response by medical researcher Herbert Benson became a bestseller. Popular magazines and major newspapers began publishing articles with titles such as The No Sweat Diet, Meditate and Lose Weight, Meditation Merges with the Mainstream, and What's Your Mantra? If we are waiting for meditation to be properly sanctioned, we need to wait no longer. After all, if the medical establishment recommends it and it appears in the Wall Street Journal and the 1990s and beyond. So a new era is beginning for meditation, one in which meditation is viewed as no more weird than prayer or jogging, neither of which is everyone's cup of tea. A period which we may see, for example, many organizations encouraging the regular use of meditation by employees. In this era, meditation will complete its crossover from the occult and the esoteric to the practical and the acceptable. Edgar Cayce frequently referred to a systematic progression of ideas related to the work of enlightenment, first to the individual, then to the groups, then to the classes and masses. So if you look back over meditation's history, it has clearly reached the stage of the masses. So this book, Creative Meditation, and its principles are designed in preparation for this era of the 1990s and beyond. Furthermore, this book is the first which is designed with these features: to present meditation concepts in a framework of self-empowerment, the need we all have for taking control of our own circumstances, and to integrate the information on meditation in the Edgar Cayce psychic readings with information from a rich variety of other Western sources, including Christian and Jewish traditions over many centuries, and to provide you with opportunities for self-appraisal on aspects of your life relevant to meditation, as well as opportunities for experimentation in meditation, to help you create personal meditation practices that match your unique lifestyle and needs, and finally, to present meditation information and guidance with a light touch, encouraging you to awaken your sense of humor and to associate a feeling of joy with your meditation practice. As Cayce puts it, above all, keep that ability to see the humor in any experience, whether it is the most sacred, the most cherished experience, or that which comes as a trial or as a temptation from outside influence. The theme of this book is as follows: if you will meditate regularly with a clear spiritual focus, and if you will creatively extend the resulting attunement throughout your life, then you can experience inner peace regardless of outer circumstances, the realization of being at one with the universe, and the assurance of making choices that lead to greater control over the circumstances of your life. Creative meditation is designed for those choosing to spend more time at one with life and willing to integrate meditation practice into their daily lives, activities. If readers include people who would not have considered the practice of meditation 10 years ago, I have achieved one of my goals for writing this book. If you are new to meditation, this book will serve as a practical introduction to the concepts as well as the steps of creative meditation with everything you need to fit its practice into your daily life, whatever your circumstances. And if you are an experienced meditator, you will discover numerous ways to enrich and extend your meditation practice so that throughout your life you can realize greater benefits than you ever realized before. And that's the end of the introduction on creative meditation. Okay, so this is taken from the the first chapter of creative meditation, the book Slings and Arrows, and again, it's been shortened or condensed down to a shorter version. So that way, but if you want to read the whole book, the book of chapter 1, I encourage you to do that. So her quote here is, whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing to end them. And that's from Shakespeare's Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. So it's not always the big slings and arrows that wear us down, but the incessant barrage from the little ones. Often we are not even aware of what is disrupting our peace of mind, and we lay the blame on familiar but innocent sources. So consider the kinds of slings and arrows from which you choose, and you do choose. The slings and arrows from your physical responsibilities, the home chores that always need doing, the yard and garden work to be done, the home projects you want to do but can't find time for, the condition of your automobile, your kitchen appliances, your TV set, the deadlines and pressures of your work, the degree of satisfaction and fulfillment from your work, your finances, your health, your weight, your clothes, your appearance, even your pets and their care. And then the slings and arrows from your encounters with other people, your relationships. So your spouse, your family, close friends, the boss, co-workers, neighbors, salespeople, those who treat your ailments, the people who work on your car, those who preach to you in one way or another. And also the slings and arrows from happenings near and far, like accidents, hurricanes, droughts, earthquakes, inflation, recession, taxes, acid rain, the greenhouse effect, terrorism, crime on the streets, alcoholism, drugs, child abuse. So in Edgar Cayce's Answers Life's 10 Most Important Questions, John Fuller speaks to the emotional impact on us when we are bombarded on a daily basis with the turmoil of our turbulent world. News stories of political upheavals, bloody uprisings, and strife can't help but create within us a feeling of personal distress, a feeling that we are being tossed about by events fully out of our control. And faced with epidemics, natural disasters, and widespread crime, we are bound to feel vulnerable, helpless, sometimes even hopeless. So challenges like these are new to our high-tech, overstimulated, civilized society, right? We've never had it so bad, right? Wrong. They may differ in the form they take or in the speed with which we know about them, but life has always been filled with challenges. That's the nature of living on this earth. So for example, in the Bible, I cry aloud to God that he may hear me. In the day of my trouble, I seek the Lord. In the night, my hand is stretched out without wearying. My soul refuses to be comforted. My grief is beyond healing. My heart is sick within me. And in the world, you have tribulation. So throughout history, writers have documented lives characterized by calamitous living, yet seeking peace of mind and soul in the Dark Ages, in the Renaissance, in the recent centuries of revolution, civil wars, and world wars, and on up through recent years in Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Nicaragua. So Evelyn Underhill, a longtime meditator, Evelyn Underhill authored 37 books on the devotional life and religious experience, and although she was never formally educated in religion, her work was held in high esteem among religious leaders. She was the only woman ever chosen by an Oxford college as an outside lecturer on religion. So during World War II, she devoted herself to her writing and leading spiritual retreats with meditation at their core. Her writings on mysticism and meditation are still relevant, informative, and articulate and colorful. So our injuries, ailments, and scars. So as a result of the epidemic of sling and arrow disease, we sustain a wide range of injuries and ailments, some of which leave us with scars. Of course, if you are immune, then you do not experience many of the following symptoms: headaches, digestive issues, frustration, feeling no one cares, apathy, forgetfulness, negative self-talk, loneliness, muscle aches, finger drumming, fatigue, upsets, mood swings, cynicism, emptiness of life, no new ideas, clamming up, loss of direction, and irritability. So this self-inventory one. So can you identify your personal slings and arrows, the challenges, big and little, of your life? So self-inventory one gives you an opportunity to estimate your challenge position. Where are you on the road between Peaksville and Panicsville? This is not intended to be a full-blown assessment of your circumstances, but to make you aware of the range of opportunities you have chosen for yourself. When you have completed self-inventory one, you can find information for scoring and interpreting the information in the back of this book. So self-inventory one, what's my beef? So the following are listed 14 areas of your life that may have given you some degree of challenge, such as worry, aggravation, frustration, or stress during the past year. If one or two areas are not listed that were major challenges to you, add them at the end of the list. So in column A, so you rate each area according to its frequency of challenge for you. So how often during the past year did this part of your life present you with a challenge? So use this rating scale. So 0, this was never a challenge in the past year. 1, this was an occasional challenge in the past year. 2, this was a frequent challenge in the past year. And a score of 3 is this was continual challenge in the past year. And then in column B, for each area that challenged you, those you rated either 1, 2, or 3, rate them again in column B according to the intensity of the challenge. So during this past year, how strong were your attitudes and emotions about this part of your life when it challenged you on the average? Use this rating score. So 1, this was usually a mild challenge, feelings not very strong, not much anxiety or aggravation, low impact on me at the time. And a score of 2, this was usually a moderate challenge or was mixed, had some severe challenges and some mild challenges in this area. And a score of 3, this was usually a severe challenge, feelings very strong, a lot of anxiety or aggravation, high impact on me at the time. So this is the actual form here. So areas of potential challenge in your life. So column A, you put 1, 2, 3, or 4. So column A is the frequency of challenge, and column B is the intensity. So column B is intensity. So you put those numbers there in those. What I'm going to do at the end of the presentations, I'll show you an example of what I did on a spreadsheet. I put this in a spreadsheet, and I put the numbers in. So I'm just going to read out these 7 areas that of potential challenge in your life, like home living arrangements, car transportation, finances, including bills, payments, taxes, your work, your job, your occupation, the daily nitty-gritty, like meal preparation, laundry, washing, housekeeping, closest relationships, like your spouse, mate, best friend, family, how they affect you, children, parents, and work relationships, health, learning, rights and entitlements, violence and crime, environment, and national and global concerns. So you got to put those numbers in column A or B. I've done that. So if you are symptom-free, the epidemiologist will certainly want to interview and examine you. Maybe they can develop an antitoxin based on your approach to life. If, however, you do experience some of these symptoms, this book presents at least a preliminary treatment that is both an antidote and a preventative for such symptoms and the disease they represent. The slings and arrows take their toll on us both physically and mentally. So the physical effects, there is no short list of physical symptoms caused by the challenges and stresses in our lives, such as mild headaches, elevated blood pressure, ulcers, heart attacks, cancer, headaches, inability to sleep, stomach aches, and fingernail biting, and the list goes on. So how much of our illness is a response to the stresses of our lives, either as a passive surrender to the assault of circumstances or as an active separation of ourselves from the circumstances? So the reason for the choice of response may make a difference in how we heal ourselves. An extensive summary of current information about the physical correlates of stress from a holistic viewpoint is presented by Dr. John Harvey in the book An Overview of Stress and Stress Management. The opening chapter of the book, under Harvey's editorship, The Quiet Mind, Techniques for Transforming Stress. The mental effects. So feelings of burnout, futility, feelings of uselessness, low energy, irritability, getting annoyed very easily, depression, mental illness, short tempers, worry, suicide, or the contemplation of it. So what can we do to be more constructive, more creative, more peaceful, and loving to ourselves? So there's strategies and tactics of coping. So to live a relatively satisfying life, we must select effective ways to cope with the ongoing stream of challenges. If we don't choose coping techniques consciously, the selection is made for us at a subconscious level, and our bodies and lives pay the consequences. So over a period of time, each of us gradually build a personal style of coping. This style has a repertoire of patterns of how to react to a challenge in our circumstances. Some patterns show little variety of response. For example, we get angry at everything that gets in our way, while others call for a complex variety of responses. For example, we react differently to the same circumstance according to what else is involved, or who else is involved, and how serious it is, and what time of the day we encounter it. So the following are descriptions of 8 common strategies for coping with sling and arrows. 1, do it, ignore it, escape it, exercise it, displace it, internalize it, wing it, revitalize for it. So the first one, do it, or just do it. So this is simply taking appropriate action as you know it, doing what you can to take care of business, trying to alleviate, lessen or minimize or eliminate the stressful circumstances and move ahead with life. So we might paraphrase an ancient prayer this way: Lord, give me the ability to handle the things I can do something about, the courage to accept as they are of what I can do nothing about, and the critical discernment to know the difference. Discernment will get you every time. Second way to cope is to ignore it. So this strategy reflects an attitude of non-importance. Well, what difference does it really make? Non-acceptance, I will not do anything about it. Or non-responsibility, it's not up to me. It may not actually go away, but once you have adopted one of these attitudes, you tend to forget about it. Unfortunately, although you ignore it at the conscious level, you may try to deal with it at the subconscious level, perhaps by internalizing, which is another strategy. 3, escape it. So this strategy is accomplished by indulging in usually pleasurable activities that tend to numb one's sensitiveness to life outside. So one form is the unsafe or criminal forms of escapism. So alcohol, abusive sexual acts, drugs, and wild in, which is a form of virtually uncontrolled group violence. How much of this kind of activity occurs as a temporary escape in lives where other more acceptable forms of relief seem unattainable? Another form is escapist entertainment. So watching television, movies, popular magazines, mysteries, romance novels, spy stories, games, and puzzles, all generally safe forms of diversion and relaxation, some of which are essential for balance in our lives. However, an average of 17 hours a week in front of the TV means a great many people are spending a great deal of time watching programs they often admit are mindless and yet helpful in getting their minds off other things. So that's escape. 4, exercise it. So you go jogging, running, walking, swimming, biking, dancing. So although such total body exercise is usually initiated through an interest in physical fitness, the participant often discovers its effectiveness in releasing tension and stress, mentally as well as physically. In fact, one may become hooked positively on the activity because of its effectiveness as a coping mechanism. It's only fair to extend this category to include golf, hunting, fishing, and even physically taxing activities like gardening and yard care, ongoing home improvement activities, and even normal housework. Hard work around the house can help in 2 ways. First, you can get so absorbed in it and use so much energy that you forget about your other problems. And second, when you're done with the work, you're glad to get back to the other problems. So the 5th way is displace it. So in psychoanalysis, displacement is the transfer of an emotion from the original focus to a new object, person, or situation. So one way to cope is to get yourself actively involved in another situation that can absorb your pent-up emotions constructively. So our volunteer and service activities, as well as our relationship with friends and family, often serve this function. One of Edgar Cayce's prominent themes is service, the outlet through which the inner self may find a greater satisfaction. Displacement is a healthy approach to coping when the new focus converts the energy of anxiety and tension into productive, helpful actions on behalf of someone in need. Displacement is unhealthy when the stressful emotions are simply transferred directly to others without constructive transformation. When you've had a bad day away from home, have you ever let out your frustration on a member of your family or a close friend? And that's misplaced displacement. 6, internalize it. That's another form of coping. So this approach may be at least apparent to others, but probably has the most devastating impact on you, along with abuse of some of the temporary escapes such substances like drugs and alcohol. So instead of displacing the emotion and tension or converting it to constructive activity, the energy is absorbed within the body and allowed to trigger hormonal and other reactions, releasing substances which are over time are detrimental to the body. Discussed earlier as mental effects, the results range from mild discomfort such as headache, stomachache, other aches and pains, to forms of severe physical impairment such as ulcers, heart disease, cancer, and other disabling health problems. So that's internalizing it, your problems. And 7, wing it. So this pattern of coping is no pattern at all. Each situation is met as if they were brand new or unique. So this approach may make use of all of the other styles mentioned before and therefore be most versatile. So at one moment, the response to stressful circumstances might be anger and a lashing out at someone. A short time later, the same circumstance may bring on a stomach ache. And if the situation repeated itself an hour later, the response might be to write a long letter that diffuses the emotional energy. On the one hand, flexibility in adapting to immediate circumstances may be generally commendable. On the other hand, a coping strategy that requires moment-by-moment choices of how to react, even when facing the same challenge, may compound the circumstances by adding indecision and anxiety to the process. Now that's winging it. And the last one, to revitalize it. Exercise and some forms of escape may result in a sense of renewal and revitalization, a feeling of regaining composure, finding new energy, getting your head on straight. So vacations that truly allow for a separation from the sources of stress and don't in themselves add to it may be quite effective for people working in stressful situations. On a shorter term basis, creative activity can revitalize, such as performing music, drawing and painting, writing, sewing and needlecraft, building and woodworking, engaging in other crafts or household projects of choice, gardening and computer hacking. All of these can bring revitalization if, in fact, they involve an opportunity for creativity. So a form of energy conversion takes place. The energy bottled up as emotion and anxiety is transformed and redirected into constructive, often creative channels. Furthermore, new sources of energy may be tapped. For some people, attending religious services, praying, and reading scripture and other inspirational material may contribute to the renewal process. For example, comfort may come from reading that God will not let you be tempted beyond your strength, but with the temptation will also provide the way of escape that you may be able to endure it. Finally, for some people, renewal comes through walking in the woods, sitting by the ocean, or watching the sunset, almost any activity in natural settings. Now, the self-inventory 2. Now, take a look at your usual strategies of coping by completing self-inventory 2. So the scoring and interpretation instructions are in the back of this book. So how well you see yourself coping, which is the self-inventory 2, with your challenges from self-inventory 1 is a primary contributor to your feelings of calmness and inner peace. In fact, to your whole self-image. The negative impact, apparent inability to keep up or cope well, tendencies to worry, to see problems everywhere, to be anxious, these prompts the feelings of being out of control and tarnish your self-image. At the extreme, ineffective or inappropriate reactions to stress, coupled with low self-esteem, will almost certainly take its toll in both physical and mental health. The positive impact, the more effective you perceive your coping to be, the better self-esteem you may have, the greater your feelings of inner peace and well-being, and the more you feel in control of your life. Also, you are more likely to think about yourself with other words and phrases such as in harmony, altogether, and at all. So, my coping profile. Listed below are 8 strategies for coping with challenges in your life. So refer to the preceding pages if you need to review the description of any of the strategies. So in column A, you put the rate or the score of strategies according to the frequency of use. So how often did you use this strategy during the past year? So use this scale. So 0, I never used this strategy in the past year. 1, a score of 1, I used this strategy a few times in the past year. Score of 2, I used this strategy a moderate number of times in the past year. And a score of 3, I used this strategy many times in the past year. And in column B, rate the strategy you used, those you rated either 1, 2, or 3 in terms of their benefit to you. So their effectiveness in helping you to cope, their contribution to your well-being in times of challenge and stress. This rating may be difficult for some strategies. It may help to think of specific times you used each strategy and make an estimate from the results at those times. So use this rating scale. So a score of 0, that means this strategy had no benefit in helping me cope. 1, this strategy was of limited benefit in helping me cope. And 2, score of 2, this strategy was of moderate benefit in helping me cope. And giving a score of 3, this strategy was of significant benefit in helping me cope. So you put those numbers in column A and column B. At the end, I'll show you what I did with my spreadsheet. I converted this into a spreadsheet and did. So in this presentation, a sense of inner peace and well-being or feeling calm, cool, and collected has been mentioned. But what is the apparently desirable state really like? Will you recognize it if you stumble into it? In the next presentation, you will find out. So that's the end of Slings and Arrows. So this is what I did in the spreadsheet. Yeah, I was like playing around with this. So this is sheet number 1. So I just put a score here, column A. You can see this column A, then column B, and then this is the. So I think you multiply this by this, and then you get 4, and then you get your 27. So then if you read, so column A is the frequency challenge for you. So I just put these here, which is column A, and that's the total at the bottom there. And column B is the intensity. So how intense it is. So these are the from 1, 2, or 3. You only have 3 choices.
Yeah.
And then so the challenge position, if you have a rating of say 0 to 15, I have 27 over here. I think this is the 27 here. So you put so 27 is says so it's 16 to 30. You experience a low to moderate level of stress from your challenges.
Okay.
But if you get over 60, so if you put high numbers in column A and column B, then your number goes right up. The numbers go right. Now this exercise, you don't have to do it. I mean, you can play around with it, change it. Like this is just a suggestion, you know. You can change these parts here as well. You can remove some of them, add some. And then so in
column C.
Yeah, column C is actually
The left
is to multiply
strategy.
column A to column B, then you get a score of 4. So like for example here you got 3 and 3 for finances. I think everybody has financial problems. So 9 is a very high score. That means that's causing this person a lot of stress for 9 because the frequency of the problems like bills coming every week and then the intensity of it is you know you sort of react to it all the time, then you get a score of 9, which is very high. Other things like so down here, rights and entitlements. This person here could be me. I have no problems, you know, it doesn't affect me at all. So I put a 0. And violence and crime. If you're living in maybe in a violent street, then these numbers will be very high. But if you're very lucky and you live in a quiet street, number 12, then it doesn't affect you. So you're very peaceful. Maybe if you live in the bush, you know, somewhere then violence and crime is not an issue. But I think for most people, it'll be sometimes car issues. If you've got a second-hand car that needs repairs all the time, finances will probably be the main one. And for some people, work and job occupation can cause stress. Yeah, so the 6 and 9s are the ones that you need to focus on to try and put solutions to it. Okay, so that's the first one. And then this is
This one, yeah.
Yeah.
The coping profile.
So according to the book, you give a score. So the book gives these scores here. A 5 if you do it, so that's a very high score. So if you actually solve every problem, then you get a score of 5. If you ignore it, then you get a -1 because that's not good. You they discourage you to internalizing is another -1. This is not good. Exercises, they encourage you maybe to exercise it. So do some form of exercise, go for a walk or whatever, or revitalize, meaning to renew yourself. If you wing it, you get a score of 0, and escape it is a score of 0. So, and displace it, some forms. So if you read the notes, yeah, so you need to, yeah, I did it on a spreadsheet. It took me a long time to figure out what they were talking about. And so I managed to do it on a spreadsheet, and this is how but I'm going to send you the spreadsheet and you can try and figure it out.
Yeah. Do it manually.
Or you can do it on a piece of paper, yes.
Yeah.
On a piece of paper. But, you know, it's just to make you aware of what's going on. It's not like, you know, you don't have to do it, but it's just, okay. So
I think it's very good. I think it's very useful. you do that sort of inventory, you come away more self-aware of problems and how you normally cope.
So you're conscious
I
of
think
it.
that's the objective.
Yeah, to be conscious of it, because most of the time we just unconsciously try and solve things. And we're not knowing that, there's problems here every day. You just, it builds up and you don't realize it. And then you sort of, I think I need a holiday.
And it also
You know,
said you could add your own, additional points at the end if you wanted to. If something is not covered and you've got another area that is significant, you could do that as well.
Yeah. And you can.
These people who say, "Oh, I need a holiday," but then they go on a tour where they've got to get up at 5 a.m. every morning and see 60 museums each day, and they come back absolutely exhausted. Not a holiday.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
not a holiday.
when I was very young, a young kid, I used to enjoy holidays because I never, you just go, you just turn up and you do it. But when you're the adult or the parent, and you got to take the kids for a holiday, it's very stressful.
It's not a holiday. Yeah.
It's not a holiday.
Yeah. You have to plan it.
You have to plan, you have to look after, you're worried about this and that.
I just observed though that the more material things that we have,
Yeah.
the more sources of slings and arrows.
Yes,
Mm.
that's it.
But
So
sometimes
try
you
to
need,
minimize.
and sometimes you just need some couple of hours or a half a day to get out of the house and do something different and
Yeah,
do
so that's
something
why
new.
they're
Yeah.
saying gardening is a positive,
Yeah.
positive form of
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of negative.
So true.
Yeah.
Just have a garden.
Oh, I do have. And I used to say when I'm working with my garden or in my garden, it doesn't matter if I'm putting out the weeds or if I'm cutting the lawn or if I'm just taking care of it in some way. I'm taking care of my soul.
Mm.
That's why I feel I'm doing it.
No,
So
that
I'm
is
feeling very grounded. Yeah.
Mm.
Being in nature
and
is so healing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's a positive form of escape. You're going out and doing other stuff.
But you get it out of energy of it too. And sometimes,
Yes.
So it's a
you find out.
revitalizing.
Yeah, it is. So
But you can't run away from your problems. You have to face. You have to do it
no.
eventually.
Yeah, but you can get that much energy out of that
Yeah.
that you can solve the other problems. You can see the solutions of the other. You can get you can see the problems from another side.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like a new aspect.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
So a small escape can be very good too. Not too long, but
Yeah.
a
You
small
should
one.
run away for a little while, do something good,
Yes.
and then come back to
Yes.
the problem.
Oh yeah, yes. Thank you. That's good way of putting
I thought only children ran away from home. Not often that the parents run away from home.
No, I never run away from the problem. Yeah.
Or do
I
things
think
and do things in another way, because you can get stuck in a behavior that you are doing it in some way, and maybe you can think on the opposite side of it, to look it from another side, and then you can slowly act and do it in another way. That's also very good. That has helped me quite a lot. So I don't know if you understand how I mean, but
Yeah. New ways of behaving, new ways of responding can come to your mind. And sometimes by not focusing on them, by doing the gardening and the painting or the other things you do, you're letting your conscious mind, focus on the other activity.
Yes.
Subconscious mind can come up with the answer, different way of responding.
Yeah.
seeing the scores on the coping mechanisms, what I'm going to do in the coming days is to actually focus on which ones actually garner the highest points and try to, you know what I mean? Do some cheating. But I think I'm already doing a lot of those coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
So I just have to uh, strengthen it. Yeah. Thanks for that, Kit. It's really good. I love it.
Well, it's in the book, so, and I sent you
Yeah.
the PDF, so you can go and have another look at it. It took me a long time to figure it out and try and work, so I had to put it on a spreadsheet. And by putting on a spreadsheet, it became, a bit clearer for me to understand what they're trying to say. So hopefully it helps everybody else as well.
Lovely.
Okay. Creative meditation, inner peace and being one with life. From the book Creative Meditation, Inner Peace is Practically Yours by Richard Peterson. Oh. A variety of colourful words and phrases suggest a state of being that combines inner peacefulness and self-control with outer awareness and involvement. Do you sometimes feel like any of these? Mellow with it, at peace within, self-possessed, on top of the world, in tune with the universe, centered in control of my life, tranquil, calm, cool and collected, feeling all together, being in the world but not of the world. In this book, the phrase being at one with life is used to represent these qualities. What does being at one with life feel like? The experience of being at one with life is probably different for each of us, yet we should each have a conception of what it is like so we will know where we're headed and recognize it when we get there. Over the centuries, philosophers, spiritual leaders and others writing about their lives and their work have referred to a state which sounds like being at one with life. Frank Laubach, for example, a long-time missionary to the Philippines, Frank Laubach wrote of a state where worries have faded away like ugly clouds and my soul rests in the sunshine of perpetual peace, from his book, Letters by a Modern Mystic. Theodore Rubin, psychiatrist, described his own ideas of inner peace. What is this inner peace and where does it come from? For me, it means a state of relative well-being, feeling good or feeling together, listening to music, looking at paintings or reading a wonderful book may sometimes help for a little while, but a major reevaluation and struggle are usually necessary for any kind of sustained state of well-being or feeling together. When I think of inner peace, what comes to mind is a long, lazy, languid, huckleberry fin kind of summer afternoon, during which neither stimulation of any kind nor boredom plays any significant role. Nicholas Herman, Brother Lawrence, a 17th century Frenchman named Nicholas Herman, would probably not be remembered today if he had not decided to change careers at age 55. Born into poverty, Herman served his country as a soldier and then became a footman to a family of French nobility. In 1666, he became a lay brother in the community of Carmelites in Paris, taking the name Brother Lawrence. He served in the community for 25 years, mostly in the hospital kitchen. He is remembered primarily through his short, unpretentious writings that have been assembled under the title, The Presence of God. It is reported about Brother Lawrence that his very countenance was edifying, with such a sweet and calm devotion appearing in it as could not but affect its beholders. It was observed that in the greatest hurry of business in the kitchen, he still preserved his recollection and heavenly mindedness. He was neither hasty nor loitering, but did each thing in its season with an even, uninterrupted composure and tranquility of spirit. Some of the most down-to-earth views of inner peace were given to us by a woman who called herself Peace Pilgrim and spent 28 years of her life walking more than 25,000 miles across America, teaching the way of peace. Her signs and symbols of inner peace are these: a tendency to think and act spontaneously rather than on fears based on past experiences, an unmistakable ability to enjoy each moment, a loss of interest in judging other people, a loss of interest in interpreting the actions of others, a loss of interest in conflict, frequent, overwhelming episodes of appreciation, contented feelings of connectedness with other and nature, frequent attacks of smiling, an increased susceptibility to the love extended by others, as well as the uncontrollable urge to extend it. Reflected here is the warmth as well as the wisdom of at-oneness. Ram Dass, in his Meditator's Guidebook, Journey of Awakening, Ram Dass reminds us of the moments in our lives when we have been pure awareness, making no attempt to express it in words, having no thoughts about being aware, just openness and a spacious quality in our existence. He assures us we have all had such experiences, moments when we lost ourselves, were taken out of ourselves, or have forgotten ourselves, moments in flow. It is in these moments of life that there is no longer separation. There is peace, harmony, tranquility, the joy of being part of the process. In these moments, the universe appears fresh. It is seen through innocent eyes. It all begins anew. Edgar Cayce. The Cayce readings frequently refer to a state of at-one-ment, saying in fact that attunement, atonement, and at-one-ment are one. This reading goes on to say that each person knows within itself when it is at-one-ment. In one reading, Cayce compared our seeking at-one-ment with a musician's tuning of an instrument. Attune yourself almost in the same manner as you tune the violin for harmony. The violin's A string is first tuned to a standard of pitch, such as an oboe in the orchestra, and then the musician tunes the four strings on the instrument to one another for internal harmony. Similarly, we are attuned by aligning the equivalent of our A string to the infinite, and then tuning the rest of our strings to one another for balance and harmony. To me, this parallel suggests that when we are at one with life, we will feel not only an inner sense of harmony and peace, but we will also have a sense of being in tune with life around us, and beyond that, with the universe. Self-inventory 3, be at one with life. Part A, consider the desirable state of being at one with life. You may prefer to think of it as feeling all together with it, centered, mellow, at peace within, on top of the world, in tune with the universe, or calm, cool, and collected. Using details from your life and expressing the kinds of feelings you have or would like to have, describe on a separate sheet of paper what it would be like for you to be at one with life. You do not need to write sentences. Jot down words and phrases, situations, attitudes, emotions, physical and mental states that might be a part of that state of well-being for you. Examples are only pleasant and loving thoughts about everyone in my life. No anxiety or pressure from my work once I set it aside. Satisfied with what I have, happy just to be. Part B, consider a rating scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is a complete lack of being at 1 and 10 is perfect realization of it. Rate yourself as follows. Thinking about your life over the past 6 months or so, what is the highest rating you would give yourself at any time during that period? What is the lowest rating you would give yourself at any time during that period? What rating would you give yourself on average for that period? What follows are the qualifications I propose for the state of being at one with life. See if your responses in self-inventory 3 relate to these criteria. The state of oneness works for all kinds and degrees of challenges. Chapter 1 illustrated the abundant sources for slings and arrows, our physical responsibilities, our encounters with others, and happenings near and far. Being at one should be as effective in helping us find inner peace when we are coping with severe financial crisis as it is when we are coming to terms with physical pain or working through the challenges in a close personal relationship. 2, the state of oneness reduces or eliminates the negative effects of our challenges. Chapter 1 illustrated the physical and mental effects of our slings and arrows, everything from finger drumming to heart disease and cancer, from worry to clinical depression. Being at one should help protect us from developing these symptoms and should reduce their severity when they do occur. The state of oneness is readily available and can be effective for long periods of time. When negative effects of inner stress and turmoil occur, we can't always take time off or get to the gym or even leave the meeting. Once we have attained a state of inner calm, we want to remain in it as long as possible without too much effort. Consider the analogy of ideal body weight. Once you've achieved it, you'd like to maintain it forever. To do so, however, you will need self-discipline on diet and exercise. Similarly, you just may have to adopt some regular disciplines if you are to maintain a state of being at one. 4, the state of oneness facilitates clear thought and right action. We do not need a condition that wipes us out, makes us feel lethargic or indifferent, possible consequences of drugs, tranquilizers, alcohol, other medications, and even too much exercise. Rather, we look for a state that lets us pull our thoughts together, reach into our deepest resources for information and ideas, and make wise decisions. It should also allow us to relax and find quick sources of renewal when needed. 5, the state of oneness promotes creativity and productivity. Most of us would like to be more creative in our thoughts and actions and more spontaneous in our creativity, not having to dredge it up as if from some deep pit. And given what time we have, we would like to get the must-dos out of the way so we can spend time on the want-to-dos. Okay, 6, the state of oneness helps you feel more in control of yourself and your life. No one likes to feel as if everything and everyone out there is running my life for me. Although our circumstances cannot be changed overnight, we may be able to change our perception of them, seeing them in a more constructive light until they do change. We want to feel empowered in our lives, not victimized. Seven, the state of oneness creates a state of calm, extending far below the surface. A calm exterior can mask anxiety, inner churning, and disorientation. It can also signal apathy, passivity, disinterest, remoteness, and lack of enthusiasm. None of these inner states would be a desirable goal. We should be able to choose our outward demeanour from unruffled calm to wild enthusiasm while retaining the peaceful inner feeling of being at one. 8. The state of oneness inspires personal traits favourable for sustaining the condition. Being at one should help us not only take care of current concerns, but also develop personal qualities consistent with at oneness. In fact, traits that help us perpetuate being at one with life. One series of such qualities, frequently referred to by Edgar Cayce, appears in the Apostle Paul's letter to the Galatians as the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. 9. The state of oneness is consistent with our fundamental values. Any state we advocate and adopt must agree with our deep inner values, those ideals we hold within us for ourselves and for our lives. These inner motives go beyond physical needs such as food and water, money and shelter. They go beyond mental drives such as comfort and convenience, fame and power. We begin to perceive these deeper values when we identify our personal standards of integrity and morality, justice and responsibility. Many people are not in touch with what those deeper values and motivations are for them. These deep-seated values are part of our spiritual nature, a topic we will address in the next section. These then are 9 criteria for a model state of well-being. At oneness with life, we'll eliminate the negative effects of our slings and arrows of all kinds and degrees. Will be easily invoked and long-lasting, will help us think and act appropriately while feeling in control of our lives, will permeate our beings, will stimulate personal traits consistent with its tone, will foster creativity and productivity, and will be consistent with our inner values and ideals, a rigorous set of qualifications. That's the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Liz. It's a lot to live up to.
There's a lot of promise in it. I love the title of this book is that inner peace is practically yours. So once we master these skills, we will have inner peace and a sense of being at one with life. So it's good stuff.
It's a very practical book with all of the exercises that it contains.
Mm.
Yeah, it is, absolutely.
For short
I
of
think,
it. But you
I
can
think
go
personally, the beauty of it for me is that, you know, the saying 2 heads are better than one, because of the things that you guys can see and adds on to my own understanding.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of group study, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. No, yeah, we're bringing it to life, and we're sort of, and then you put it onto YouTube, and then everybody can read it and learn from it, and maybe understand it even more, maybe, and research more, read it, understand. So we are doing a service. For everyone.
Some of the people on the YouTube will do the exercises, I'm sure. They will do the inventory. Yeah.
Thank you.
Share a prayer. So just make ourselves comfortable again and just focus on our inner being, Focus on the divine part of ourselves, not the human part of ourselves. The part of us within, which is part of God. The part of us within, which is one with everyone else. And Father, Mother God, we give thanks for this opportunity of meeting together, of sharing our ideas, of allowing ourselves to be awakened to our true nature, to allowing ourselves to be able to focus more on the time spent with Thee in meditation and prayer, to make that a vital part of our lives so that we can become more at one, in at one-ment with Thee and with each other, and help us to always be aware that we are part of something bigger than ourselves, whether it's this group, whether it's our oneness with Thee and with the whole of humanity, that we're just corpuscles in the body of God, doing our part, playing our role, as we were always destined to do. Help us to awaken to what that is. Help us to awaken to realise that we are channels of blessings to others, and those opportunities to be that, to do that, are always there. Help us to become aware of those opportunities. Amen.
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, thank
Well
you,
done.
thank you.
See you
Thank
next
you.
Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye,
Have a great week.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.